Well, good morning. My name is Sherman Powell. I'm a class of 2008 MBA out of the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. I have to say University of Michigan because when I say the Ross School of Business, I get a lot of what we used to call flashing zeros in the Army. And people say the Ross School of Business, what's that? So it is the University of Michigan's business school. I want to thank Chris and Dave for putting this together and bringing MBAs from so many schools together who have a common background and who have a lot more in common with each other than we do with most of the people at our schools in terms of professional background, in terms of sort of personal background, in terms of shared experiences and our thoughts for the future. I graduated from the Sloan School of Management, which is MIT's business school, in 1995 with an undergrad business degree. And in 5 years of college, the one thing I learned was that I did not want to be an engineer, and I wasn't really too interested in business, even though I had a business undergrad degree. I was glad to go into the Army. I loved every minute of it practically, although there were some moments that I wish had never happened. But I really, really enjoyed the people I worked with and the experiences I was given an opportunity to take part in. I did 2 years in Korea. I commanded a tank company there. I did 2 OIFs with the 3rd Infantry Division and led a headquarters company of 260 troops in Southeast Baghdad, doing combat and reconstruction operations, working with the Iraqi army. I really accomplished everything I had ever hoped to do in my life in the course of 11 years in the Army. And when I got out in the spring of 2006, after 46 months of overseas service in about a 5-year period, all I knew was that it was time to be with my wife, who had earned the right to have me around, and it was time to find something else to do and earn a living and raise a family. I really had no plan. The plan I had made for my life had taken me through a career in the military. And again, as far as I was concerned, I'd already had the best job I could ever have. I'd already worked with the best people I was probably ever going to meet. And at the ripe age of 34, it was kind of all downhill from there. So essentially I crash landed. I spent about 5 or 6 months resting up for business school, sleeping 12 hours a day, growing the hair out, growing the stubble, putting on about 30 pounds, and in other ways adapting to life as a civilian. I had a very hard time writing my first resume. In the military, they teach you to be a very modest and very humble person, and I was extremely uncomfortable taking my experiences and putting them down on paper because I thought it was such an exercise in vanity and self-glorification, and yet it's just something that you have to do. I had to do it to get into business school, and when I got to business school, I realized that I had to rewrite it and rewrite it again and go through about 8 or 10 or 12 iterations before it was ready to put in front of a company. I had no idea what I wanted to pursue in terms of a career, whether it was consulting, banking, operations, marketing, or brand management. And what I found out is that as a guy or a woman with a military background, you can really do any of those things and be extremely successful. Because if you imagine being a banker, and I don't know too much about the job other than you're working 100+ hours a week in an extremely high-pressure environment with extremely demanding bosses and having things thrown at you. I thought that sounds familiar. When I went to marketing class and I saw the types of things that you do as a marketer, the types of persuasion that you exert, that sounded very familiar. And yet I settled on consulting as the thing I would recruit into, although that wasn't exactly true. I did 2 internships, so I hedged my bets a little bit. But what I liked about consulting was that when I heard about what consultants do, which is to basically parachute in to a completely unfamiliar environment and to have to meet individuals whom you've never met before and with whom you have no credibility and start learning about the problems they're going through, which are completely unfamiliar to you and which you've probably never solved before, and act as if you know exactly what you're talking about at all times, and start making decisions and start initiating forward progress, and do it in a very, very short amount of time, and then leave a situation in place which will continue to make progress and continue to be successful. Well, that started to remind me of a lot of the jobs I'd had in the Army. And I thought, well, let's just try that and see what happens. It just seemed like a good place to start. So I did a summer internship at BCG for about half of my summer in 2007. I did another internship at Google for the other half of the summer And then I wound up accepting the offer from BCG to come back as a full-time consultant. I can't really speak to what the other industries are experiencing in terms of recruiting and retention in the current economic environment. I would tell you consulting has not stopped recruiting and has not started to let people go. And to my knowledge, there aren't plans to do that. I asked a lot of questions 2 summers ago when I was first starting to meet other companies and recruit. I said, what do you do when there's a downturn? And they said, well, downturn, what are you talking about? It's the best it's ever been. It's 2006. We don't have downturns anymore. And I said, well, what would you do if there was another downturn? And a lot of the companies, a lot of consulting firms I talked to said, we made a lot of mistakes in 2001 and 2002 in the last downturn. And we let a lot of people go, and we shrunk ourselves way too fast and too far. And then when the economy picked up again, we had an empty pipeline of talent. In terms of principals and partners and senior, what some companies call associates, and had to do a lot of lateral hiring to fix that problem. And so we're probably not going to do that again next time. In any case, that may be a question on some of your minds. But either way, I've had a good time with it and enjoyed it, and I'm going back. In all honesty, I'm with BCG, but I'm not at BCG because I haven't started yet. I told them that this past January, with newborn twins on the way, which arrived in May. I said there was no way in hell I was going to start working in July or August, and they had to give me until January. And they said, okay, so I'll be starting in January. Either way, thanks, appreciate it.